So, welcome to the show, Kyle Warren. Kyle, how are you, man?
I'm good, thanks, Rob. Thanks for having me.
Not very well. We're about to get into something really quite exciting that you're up to. But first of all, I wanted to find out more about yourself recently. How's things been with you? It's been a while since we were last chatting.
Yeah, good, thanks. I think a lot's happened. We were in Australia for 5 years, but it's almost now 5 years since we've been back already. So I think as you get older,
Yeah,
time just goes so quick, doesn't it? And
it does.
it's
Yeah, it's nuts.
yeah, it's funny. Because we are like very much in Scotland now. We were a couple of years in the west coast and a couple of years in Edinburgh, and now we've just moved a little bit north into Perthshire. So no, things are good.
Yeah,
But yeah, very much established with the family life kind of side of things here now, which is lovely. And yeah,
excellent.
piping away and try my best to do bits and bobs.
There you go. So, well, speaking of bits and bobs, let's talk about it. Yeah, you've been putting out announcements on your socials about something quite exciting coming up. Obviously, following the release of Eat, Sleep, Pipe, Repeat, which we talked to you about before in the show, and we're still playing music from that now on the radio. You've been working on something else quite exciting now, Kyle. Tell us about this.
Yeah, so that last book, Eat, Sleep, Pipe, Repeat, that was actually 5 years ago as well. So again, it's one of those things where I feel like
That's
it's only like,
crazy.
exactly. I thought it was like 2 years, maybe three at the most. And when I realized it's five, I'm like, okay, maybe it's time to try and release some more music. I had an album 2.5 to 3 years ago now as well, 2022. I released
Mm.
Relentless. And I think, yeah, there's just moments where they're kind of like little musical stamps of like what you're doing or what I guess musically in that
Yeah.
moment you like or you're enjoying. So, going to release my third collection, my third book this August, and in that time period between the last book, those last 5 years, I realized I had over 700 recordings on my phone.
700?
Now,
Oh, my
yeah,
word.
when you start going through them, you do question, like why certain things like at the time felt like a good idea, and then you listen back and think, okay, that's horrendous. We'll scrap that right now. So 700 becomes a lot less quite quickly. But yeah,
Yeah.
I was thinking like if there's 10% that's good here, then there's more than enough for a book, obviously. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was kind of the I didn't want to have 1,000 recordings on my phone. I thought I better kind of work through this now, stamp again, like kind of put that little marker in musically where I'm at, why I'm writing what I'm writing,
Yeah.
what's inspiring me, or what am I active in at the moment. It's kind of it definitely shifts your focus, I think, on how you write and what you're writing at the time. And
Yeah.
so yeah, it felt like a good time to get another book out, and it's fun. I like composing, and it's nice to share your music. It's a bit daunting as well. There's definitely a big side about that as well. But overall, yeah, it feels like a good time. So August this year, obviously Piping Live being a great time of year to be around in Scotland as well. Yeah, the book will come out.
There you go. Excellent. Well, do you know what? It's quite interesting that you're mentioning that. Like you've had like hundreds of ideas. Because recently I watched a bit of a documentary about the Beatles. Like I'm a bit of a fan of the Beatles and John and Paul and the guys. And apparently they had hundreds and hundreds of like demo recordings of songs that just never seen the light of day. So that's kind of your process as well here, then, Kyle. The hundreds of ideas. Yeah.
It is. I think like a lot of the time. I mean, 'cause I teach full time as well. So when you're in that moment and you're like, sometimes you're in between lessons, and it's not like you've got a big period of time, but that may be like a
Yeah.
minute or two. Even when a pupil comes in and they're getting their pipes together and they're getting sorted, I usually just kind of jam away in the chanter, and probably almost every student's probably witnessed to me saying, "Hold on a wee second, I'm just going to press record here," and I'll get that 10 or 20 seconds that was in my head down, and then I'll revisit it. But again, it could be like months or something before I revisit that, and sometimes that's the moment where you press delete because you wondered why you thought that was a good idea, or even because it
Yeah.
was a 5 year span, I was going back and some ideas come back again like 6 months or a year later. So that's quite funny. I don't know why that happens.
Wow.
It's interesting, yeah, how you can link back and yeah, you think you've got two tunes sometimes, and you realize, oh no, that's the same one.
See, I was wondering, has that ever happened? Has like an idea kept round, come round again? Maybe more
Yeah,
than once.
the
Yeah.
the biggest fear about ideas as well is guessing like figuring out where they've came from. Like I guess it's a bit obvious if you've
Oh,
been listening to like a certain album or a certain style for a while, and you're thinking, okay, maybe just go back and double check that I didn't get this idea from there or something. And I mean,
right.
as you know, like we've only got 9 notes, so I guess as a composer, my biggest fear is like it's someone else's idea. That is just the
Yeah.
biggest fear, and I think partly that's why I don't know how I would describe my style. I don't know if anyone would have an opinion if I do have a style, but I think I do write fairly maybe technical, like kind of a lot of technique in tunes, and it's partly maybe
Yeah.
almost like a defense mechanism of like, well, I know that this style, or that like certain embellishments are maybe more considered modern now, or the way you arrange them, or syncopation, maybe these things are a bit more modern, give or take. So maybe that's at least hopefully narrowing down. Okay, it's not going to be like that period of time from a composer, but obviously you're still then slightly concerned about all the great composers of today. That might be like, yeah, you just don't want you don't want your tune to be someone else's. Clearly, that would be a disaster. So
No.
fingers crossed. You're writing with honesty. We've got 9 notes. Something's going to happen at some point where a phrase is way too similar. But yeah, fingers crossed. Touch wood that we'll have 50 tunes that are unique enough that they're worth adding to the tradition as well.
Oh, absolutely. And I have to say, like, since the release of your last book and even your album as well, there's been a lot of people that have been playing it, all, in trad circles and all the rest, but also in bands as well. Have you found that? What's it like hearing your tunes out in the wild?
Yeah, I'll never get tired of that at all. It's the biggest accolade, isn't it, when someone else
Yeah.
it feels it worthy enough to spend their time to learn your tune, and then if it makes its way into like a public performance as well, like whether it's a concert or like you say the pipe
Yeah.
band circle as well, and especially of course like everyone looks up to Grade One. It's a great place to be, and again when you hear bands playing your tune, it's yeah, that I was always like inspired by obviously composers when I was younger, and
Yeah.
seeing that process or hearing that and thinking, oh, wouldn't that be cool? And of course when that happened for the first time, I think the first time a Scottish Grade One band played one of my tunes. It was Scottish Power. So what a great band to
Wow.
pick up a
There you
tune.
go.
And Chris Armstrong, I had lessons with Chris when I was at university, and he's always been a great supporter of my music, and I think they've played 4 or 5 tunes over the years. So yeah, it's
There
really
you
nice
go.
to hear that level of band obviously playing your tune. So yeah, that hopefully there'll be maybe 1 or 2 in this book that a few bands will like as well. It's quite a mix. It's quite a mix. I guess of variety in the book, and what might fit a pipe band or might fit a concert stage or might fit getting a backing band and giving it going fast and hard with a guitar.
That's it. Gain it loudly. I think that's the phrase. Yeah.
That's the one. That's the one.
Yeah. So I'm not looking for any spoilers or anything like that about content or that, but you were saying that there's going to be quite a different mix of tunes in here. Is there any sort of a flavor as to, is it all like going to be marches, hornpipes, jigs, or is it going to be like a mix of like everything?
Yeah, it's obviously certainly light music to start with, and I
Mm,
would say predominantly very much modern light music. There is a lot of jigs in there. There's a lot
right.
of reels. Again, I don't know why. That's just what's on the recordings over the last kind of 3 or 4 or 5 years. There's a couple of marches in there, like a couple of 6/8s and 9/8s. Those kind of more traditional idioms, but
Excellent.
even then, maybe 1 or 2 of them have a quirk as to why they're maybe a bit more modern in style. I think there's 4 marches, and again, like 2 of them feel like they could be really driven. They could work really well with a backing band, and a bit more like kind of, I guess, maybe like in a folk
Yeah.
delivery, folk style delivery. And there's a couple that I do feel would be quite nicely in a nice setting of like a solo recital or a band, or someone playing the tune at home and then maybe performing it, at a gig or whatnot. So yeah, there's quite I think there's a balance. Ideally, you want there to be something for everyone, and
Yeah.
composing and music's so subjective. So that's always the fear. I think they're worth publishing. It's whether anyone else likes them or not is the tricky part. But yeah, I'll tell you something that I think is a bit interesting. Like composing with purpose, like if you're trying to like help fill a space in a pipe band medley, then there's obviously
Mm,
parameters. You might know what tune you're coming from and where you're going next, and obviously with
yeah.
competition you might feel like you want to play it a certain way or whatever. You've got to core it with 20-25 pipers, whatever. So that gives you a purpose, which can be really good, and other times can be um I guess it's limiting depending on how you want to view that. But I need
Yes.
to I think I've got this story right. I'm convinced I saw a video of Emmett Conway teaching at a workshop, and I'm going to see him actually next week, so I'll need to ask him if this is true or not. I'm in my head, hazy memory of Emmett teaching, and he was talking about a one-handed tune because a piper in the war lost his other hand or his other arm, and I think it was a slow air. And then I just watched that and thought, that's an interesting kind of rule to play by. I'm just going to try and write a one-handed tune here.
Hmm.
So the first tune I wrote was like a slow air. I think, well, that could be handy for learners as well, for anyone that's teaching. And sometimes, maybe we've all had those pupils that are maybe a wee bit small, maybe covering the holes is tricky. So you think, right, let's just start with the top band and take the stress of low G away.
Yeah.
So I wrote a wee slow air, which I thought was nice. And then I thought, I'm going to try and push this more. Can I write a jig? Can I write a reel? And more kind of technical
Right.
and fancy, but still one-handed. And so there's 3 tunes in the book that are literally top-handed tunes. which I don't even know. I'm hopeful that they're good enough that you wouldn't even notice unless I'm going to say, hey, by the way, did you notice that you didn't use your bottom hand? You could literally take it off. You could rechange your drones as you play as a party piece. You could take a swing of something to keep you going.
Yeah.
And I just thought, why not? It's a bit different. It's a bit quirky, and it gave me a bit of a purpose and a challenge, which I quite enjoy at times. That kind of
That's brilliant.
giving yourself a bit of some rules. Sometimes it's helpful, and then sometimes obviously it's nice to be free. But then if you're too free, the page can be blank for a while because you don't know where to start.
Yeah, I can understand. Yeah, where do you begin?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, you were talking there about Piping Live and the book hopefully being launched in August. Do you know whether it be an event or anything for people to go and grab it, or?
So it'll definitely be around. That's the plan. Whether we can get like a live performance or whether we can get a wee stall. There's historically been a bit of a trade fair recently over the last few years.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
it'd be nice to be there. That's the kind of the plan and the hope. So I mean, we are at the start of June, so I have been in touch briefly, but definitely got to see what's possible to lock in. Certainly it'll be available. I'm certain of that come August in the shop. If even if there's nothing too snazzy and whatnot to get it out, but it's a great time of year, isn't it? It's the best week to be in Glasgow. That's for
It is. It is. It's the Christmas of the bagpiping world. Honestly, it is. So, well, at the moment, obviously, you're working away busily now trying to get the book to print. So, I believe you have a bit of a crowdfunding effort coming up. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's something I've done in the past with the last album and last book as well. Obviously, it's one way to promote what you're trying to do. So hopefully, in that sense, it might just kind of reach a wee bit further than how I can personally reach, one to one. So hopefully, that will maybe build some traction. And it usually, if you've obviously seen artists do that before, sometimes it's the one opportunity to maybe join in at a new level, I guess. Like once the book's published, that's what exists. But if there's a chance there to name a tune after someone special, that's something I've done in the past. As one of those rewards, obviously for contributing to the book. Things like that can be extremely helpful for artists. It's music is not only kind of the passion and whatnot, but it is the full time job. So you've got to try your best to monetize it, which is a hard thing to talk about at times, because for a lot of people it is just I say just a hobby, I say that in the nicest way, because I almost wish it was just a hobby for me, because then you could have your 9 to 5, whatever that 9 to 5 is, you could close the door and forget about it. You go to band and have a great time. But if you've been teaching pipes all day, sometimes the last thing you want to do is go to band. So
I'm sure, yeah.
You can't have it all. You can't have your cake and eat it. It is the dream job to be a piper full time, but it does come with challenges. So in that sense, like creating a book is really, it's an exciting place to be. But you are trying to also be clever about, is there a way to monetize this to a certain limit where hopefully it can then support more music, and that cycle continues in a positive way.
Oh, absolutely. So, well, Kyle, I think given the success of your previous publications and recordings, I think this one's going to go gangbusters. Yeah, I know some people are so excited for this already, myself included. I can't wait to see what's in the covers of this.
Well, thanks, Rob. It's exciting. Looking forward to getting it out, and like you say, hopefully one day you hear one of those tunes again. Someone playing it, and which is that's the best thing as a composer for sure.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So keep us across the details of it, the release and all of that, and the crowdfunding as well. Keep us across all of that, and we'll certainly let folks listening right now to know where to go. Yeah. So thanks a million, Kyle, for joining us on the show, and every success with this. Thanks a million.
Thanks for having me, Rab. All the best. Take care.
Cheers.